Hello everyone, I am about to start a series where I am going to code Guess the Number game in various programming languages. Guess the Number game, for those of you who don't know about it, is a game where a computer will think of a number and you're going to guess what that number is. With each guess, it'll tell you if you guessed too high or too low, or if you got the number right, in which case it'll also tell you how many attempts it took you. We're going to convert these steps into code for each of the programming language and run it. And the idea is to try as many programming languages as I can get my hands into. We're going to start with Java. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Java, but if you haven't, I'm going to put a Wikipedia link in the description below. Java is a high-level, class-based, object-oriented programming language, yada, yada, yada. We're not going to try to dive too deep into the specifics of the programming language. The idea of the series is to just know enough about the programming language to be able to write, guess the number in that programming language, run it, and done. Without waiting any longer, I'm going to go back to the repository, copy this prompt, and start coding. I've created this guessthenumber.java file. As you can see, Java files end in .java extension, and in order to run the code, I need to first create a class and add a main method to that class, which I am going to do like this. And I am going to paste the prompt here, now that we have the skeleton needed to put our code inside. Now, we're just going to follow each step. Number 1, generate a random number between 1 and 100 inclusive. In order to generate a random number in Java, you need to create a random object. So let's start with that. And in order to use random, you need to import random. And this is how you import stuff into your class. If you're using an ID that's sophisticated enough, you can just let the ID import it for you. And that basically added back the line that I removed. Now that we have the random object, we can use it to generate our number between 1 and 100 inclusive. And this is how you do it. Here we're calling nextInt method of the random, and that takes a bound, an upper bound, which is exclusive. So this random.nextInt with a bound of 100 will generate a random number between 0 and 99, but we want it between 1 and 100, so I'm just adding 1 to whatever is generated. This line should give us a random number between 1 and 100 inclusive in both ends. Before we move on to step 2, let's print this random number that we just generated and make sure that our program is working. In order to print anything in this screen, you can use system.out.println, and you can give it what you want to print, and I'm just printing the random number that we just generated. I just want to make sure our code is running properly. And there you go. It generated random number 15. If I run it again, it should generate a different number. And it does. And all of the numbers that are generated are between 1 and 100. So we're good. For step 1, done. Step 2, set the number of guesses to 0. So I'm going to create an attempts variable and set it to 0. Step 3, print. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. We already know how to print stuff, so let's go ahead and do that. Step 4, print, take a guess. We already know how to do that. Step 5, read in the user's guess. In order to read something in Java, we need to create a scanner object. Scanner object will then allow us to read user's input from the input stream. And we need to import the scanner class. I can either do it manually or have the IDE do it for me. It just added that import over there. And all we're doing here is saying create a new scanner with the system standard input stream. If you see it right here, it says the standard input stream. So with that, now we can get user's input. We're going to save it in a guess variable, and let's print it, that guess, back to the user so we can test our program.
Your
guess was, and we'll just print the guess back again. Let's try and run it. Okay, it generated a random number, printed it. I'm thinking of a number. It printed that, and it's asking to take a guess. Let's guess 50. And your guess was 50. Okay, so it's reading the input. It printed what we entered. There's a minor issue here that we can fix. This take a guess prompt basically adds a new line at the end, so your guess is now being typed in the new line. If we change this line from println to just print, it will allow you to type your guess in the same line, which I think is going to look better. So let's try that again. Random number generated 21, and let's guess 50, and it says your guess was 50. As you could see, we could just type it in the same line. All right, so we were able to get the guess, and we're just printing it back, which isn't that useful or helpful, and it's not part of the program. But we're done with step 5. Let's go back to step 6. Increment the number of guesses. So since the user just guessed, we're going to increment the attempts. This is a short form of equals attempts plus 1. But we'll just go with the short form. And step 7, if the user's guess is correct, print you guessed it. The number was X, print you guessed it in Y attempts. So if guess is equal to the random number that we generated, we're going to print you guessed it, the number was random number, and we're also going to print you guessed it in attempts, number of attempts. So number 7 is done. Number 8, if the user's guess is too low, print your guess is too low. We're going to use else if here. If guess is less than random, we're going to just say your guess is too low. And if it's too high, I think that's the next one, we're going to say it's too high. So we got 8 and 9 covered there. Your guess is too high. Let's try running this. I'm always going to guess 50, as you might have figured it out by now. And it says your guess is too high, and the program ended, which my guess was too high because the number was 38 and I guessed 50. So all of this is working. Let's go back to the steps. We've completed 9. Now, if the user's guess is incorrect, print take a guess again. So here we're going to print take a guess again. And step 11, repeat from step 5 to 10 until the user guesses the number correctly. So we're going to put loop around our code here where it's guessing and trying again. We're going to put all of this inside a while true loop, and we need to break when the user guesses the number correctly. This is an infinite loop. If we don't break, it'll just keep on going. If the user guessed the number correctly, we can then break out of the loop. This is it. This is the program. As you can see, we're actually printing the random number here, and we'll just keep it that way for the first run so that we know whether or not the program is working. And after that, we'll remove that little cheat that we're using. Let's run it. Okay, random number is 28. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. I'm always going to start with 50. It's too high. Take a guess again. As you can see, I again forgot to change this to print instead of println. With this, my guess would have been typed right over there instead of going to the new line. But that's fine for now. I fixed it. It'll apply in the next run. I'm going to guess 25. It's too low. So my next guess is 35. Too high. 30. Too high. 27. Too low. I'm going to go 28. And I guessed it right, and it took me 6 attempts. Let's count the number of attempts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it got everything right. Now we're just gonna remove the part where we're actually displaying the number that computer thought of, because this would be cheating. And we're gonna run it properly now. Let me go there. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. We don't know what that number is, but as you can probably guess by now, I'm gonna guess 50. Number is too low. I'm gonna go 75. Number is too high. I'm gonna go 63. Number is too high. 55. Number is too low. 59. too high, 58, too high, 57, too high. Oh my god, it's 56, isn't it? It is 56, and it took me 8 attempts. So, this is it. This is the Guess the Number game written in Java. I'm going to get rid of that prompt, and this is the code. Not a lot of code. Java is pretty verbose compared to other programming languages, but we don't need to get into details about it. We got it working. We wrote the code and it's running. And I am going to copy this code and post it in the repository. As you can see, the repository is empty right now, but by the time this video gets uploaded to YouTube, I will have created a Java folder here, and I'm going to put the code there along with the link to the video. And I'll obviously be adding many more programming languages to the series and push those code to GitHub so you can bookmark the repository if you want to. And also feel free to create issues. If you see anything here, just create an issue. Or if you have any request for a particular language that you'd like to see, feel free to put that over here. Or you can comment in YouTube itself. I will definitely try to incorporate any suggestions you have into my future videos. And feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see simple game written in other programming languages. And with that, I am going to say goodbye for now. See you in next video.